Hello, Grace Community Church. Pastor Steve here, and we're continuing our journey cover to cover through the Bible. And today is June 23rd, and we have a bunch of passages we're looking at: 2 Kings 15, 2 Chronicles 27 and 28, Micah chapter 1, and Isaiah chapter 7. Now, when we look at Micah, I mentioned this to you yesterday, if you tuned in, that we observe in the prophetic passages sections that can be called theophanies, or theophanic language. Theo meaning God, and phany meaning all over. It's when that God enters our world, the mountains quake, the land trembles, the sun is darkened. This kind of language shows up in the book of Revelation also, and it's not meaning that literally the mountains are all shaking. What it means is the presence of God is causing all this upheaval. And that is the heart of it. You can tell this because it's in a poetic section. That kind of language shows up in poetic sections. If it was in a narrative, it would speak more literally. Now, when we look on, this passage switches to 2 Kings 15, and we're introduced to a king, Ahaz. Now, he did not follow like his father David or the other good kings he came before him. Instead, he is evil. Now, how evil is he? It says that he had his own son pass through the fire. Now, I've mentioned this before if you've been paying attention, and I'm going to review it now. There was a god, Molech. It's part of the fertility god worship. And basically, you wanted to reign, you worship Asherah, the fertility goddess. Because you worship her through sexuality, at shrine prostitutes, unwanted children arrive. And in this case, Ahaz has his child, his son, pass through the fire. Now, this is an artist's depiction of this. This Molech is an iron statue, which is actually a furnace. And these arms are scorching hot. And you put your child in the arms of this statue, and in most cases, the child would die, be burned to death. Horrible, horrible. And that's what Ahaz did. So his devotion to his paganism was supreme. Horrible thing. We also find that at this time, Judah has become a vassal state. Now, what is a vassal state? A vassal state is kind of like in our day and age how Poland or Lithuania, they were sort of free, but not really. They paid homage to the Soviet Union. And this kind of existence has been all through history. And in this case, Israel bought its freedom by paying a high levy to Tiglath-Pileser, who was the king of Assyria. They had a level of freedom, it's true, but they had to pay off the great empire to the north. Now, something has shown up, and it's shown up actually all through our cover-to-cover series. These huge numbers that we see, 200,000 troops were captured or killed. These numbers defy imagination. I mean, these are numbers that you would see in like World War II. What exactly is going on? Well, there's a lot of debate among scholarship. The word Eleph in Hebrew literally means 1,000. And so when you see 200,000, 200 Eleph, one raises that possibility that it's 200,000. The translators err on the side of the simplest rendering, so they say 200,000. But a lot of scholars argue that this could be a unit of measurement. In other words, 200 units or 200 divisions might be being measured. And depending on the size of the division, this could mean 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. So there is discussion, and these numbers, is possible, may not be that high. Now we move to Isaiah 7, and we have this prophecy that emerges that in 65 years, northern Israel is going to be wiped out. So Isaiah is prophesying very, very specifically. But now we come to a passage which is very curious for us. Chapter 7, we read this. All right then, the Lord himself will give you a sign. Look, the virgin, see the star, will conceive a child, and she will give birth to a son, and we will call him Emmanuel, which means God is with us. Now, you remember this verse from Christmas, do we not? But Isaiah is using it for the king who doesn't want a sign from the Lord, but Isaiah says you're going to get one anyway. And in this case, this asterisk, the Hebrew word, can mean a young maiden, or it can mean someone who has never had sex. In this prophecy, you have a double fulfillment. It is fulfilled in Isaiah's day as a sign before the king that a young woman will conceive. And this will be a sign for the king. But in the Greek, the word virgin is specific, meaning did not have sex. And so when it is used in the New Testament writers to refer to Jesus, it actually means a literal virgin. So it's interesting to see, you might say, the New Testament intersecting with the Old Testament and your introduction to an idea of a double fulfillment of a prophecy. All right, lots of things going on. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless you.